Balance in life. We hear this all the time, but have you really taken the time to think about it? Today we're going to dive into one of the biggest myths out there, balance in life. This perfect work-life balance that everybody talks about and that we're all supposed to achieve. Have you ever stopped to think, is this even a good idea? Spoiler alert, I don't think it is. On this episode of The Unscripted Mind. Welcome to The Unscripted Mind, where our goal is to give you fresh perspectives, practical insights, and tools you can use to give you more choices, increase your awareness, and have better control of your feelings, reactions, and behaviors. I'm Jim Cunningham. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and today we're going to debunk the idea of having balance in life. We've all heard the quotes like, happiness is not a matter of intensity, but of balance and order and rhythm and harmony. Someone else said, work, love, and play are the great balance wheels of man's being. Now, all that sounds nice, doesn't it? But today we're going to challenge that, because if everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority. So let's kind of break this down and understand why chasing balance might be making you absolutely miserable. And I know this might sound a little controversial, but stick with me on this. First, let's talk about balance. Here's the deal. Balance sounds great in theory, but when you try to apply it to real life, it just doesn't work. Why? Because balance suggests that everything in life, your work, your family, your personal goals, can and should get equal attention. I mean, let's be real here. We all have moments where we can't give equal attention to everything. If you're starting a business, guess what? You're going to need to grind a little harder for a while. Family emergency? Your priorities shift, at least for the moment. Balance just doesn't allow for that flexibility. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we should be chaotic messes running around putting out fires all day, but I am saying that the concept of balance is misleading. Life is not a 50-50 split or a 33-33-33 split. It's about being intentional with our priorities, and I think that's the key. So let's break that down a little bit. Balance assumes that everything, work, family, self-care, hobbies, can neatly fit into a pie chart where each slice gets its fair share. But life doesn't work like that. Some days your career is the priority. Other days it's your kids. And sometimes, let's be honest, Netflix is the priority because we all need to unwind with some guilty pleasures every once in a while. The key here, though, is about being intentional. What's my priority today? What can wait until tomorrow? It's about being proactive rather than reactive. This is very similar to, if you're familiar with Dave Ramsey, he's a financial advisor, money guy. And his general philosophy is it doesn't matter what you spend your money on each month. The idea is that you are spending your money intentionally and that each dollar has a name on it so that you aren't doing things impulsively. And I think this is very similar with our time. Too many people wake up in the morning already playing catch up. Like, oh my gosh, the kids are late for school. I've got deadlines. Why is the dog throwing up? And they've checked their email at 6:30 in the morning, and all of a sudden they're trying to put out fires. And then next thing you know, they're in full react mode the rest of the day. They are stumbling forward, and they never get a chance to get their feet under them because they're constantly reacting to the things that are already out there. And there's no intentionality to that. And here's the real problem that lies with balance. It makes you feel like you're failing if you're not perfectly juggling everything at once. Instead, let's focus on what needs our attention right now and be okay with the fact that other things might slip, even just for the moment or for the day. Now, if you're going to toss around the idea of balance, we've got to replace it with something. If you're going to take something away, it's going to leave a void. So what do we replace that with? And I might suggest the idea of boundaries. I know it's a buzzword these days, but it's absolutely crucial. You see, without boundaries, balance becomes even more impossible. We forget there are consequences to life without boundaries. In a word, that means chaos. Usually the first casualties are ourselves and those closest to us. Our spouses, our children, our dreams, our health, and our emotional well-being. But what does this look like in reality? Well, let's say you're a small business owner, of which I am one. And there's always something else to do. billing, planning, network, meeting with clients. The work really never stops. There's always something else to do. So you have to set limits. And just because I can answer a work email at 10 p.m. on a weeknight doesn't mean I should. To be honest, on some weekends, I actually do answer the phone just because I might have the extra time. What I found is it actually freaks people out a little bit because they were expecting to get an answering machine. But mostly I try to keep those boundaries firm because it's really important. And this dance is, I promise you, more of an art than a science. So speaking of boundaries, let's talk about self-care for a second. I know self-care is getting a bad rap, especially when it's associated with endless scrolling on social media or binging on shows. Don't get me wrong, I love some good TV, but real self-care is about doing things that actually recharge you, not just distract you. It's okay to spend time doing nothing productive if that's what you need to recharge. But be honest, if you're in a Netflix vortex for 3 hours, is it really making you feel better, or is it just numbing the stress? Let's shift our thinking. I think self-care should be about filling the tank, not draining it. And that means something different to everybody. But that also requires a level of self-awareness and willingness to understand if I'm distracting myself or I'm actually recharging my batteries. So for a lot of people, it's difficult to say the word no when they set boundaries. And the trick is to learn to say no without having to justify it and without feeling guilty. A very tricky thing to do. I think the word no, a word we all hate saying, but we need to get a lot better at using it. Why do we suck so bad at saying no? Well, because I think saying yes feels pretty good. Yes makes me feel like a hero, a helpful friend, the amazing parent. But ironically, yes is often the quickest path to chaos. We don't say no to stretch ourselves too thin. And when we're stretched thin, guess what? We fail. We fail ourselves and the people we're trying to help. In the airplane, they tell you put the oxygen mask on yourself first. That applies to life as well. And I get it. Saying no can feel harsh. But what if we flip that mindset? Think about it this way. Every no you say to something that you don't want or need is a yes to something that truly matters to you. It's not about being selfish. It's about preserving your energy for the stuff that counts. Your family, your dreams, your sanity, things that are priorities to you. Instead of letting everybody else determine those priorities for you, it's important to be proactive in doing that yourself. So let me say this also. If everything in your life is a priority, then nothing is a priority. The first casualties in this everything is important mindset are often ourselves and, again, the people that we're closest to. They get lost in the shuffle. Why? Because we're busy saying yes to everything else. I don't think I need to remind you that burnout is a real thing, and trust me, we've all been there. It's time to pause and ask yourself, are the things that I'm doing today taking me where I want to go? Or am I just filling my time with stuff that's draining me? So we've covered a lot today. I've thrown a lot at you, but the myth of balance to the power of boundaries to learning to say no with confidence, I hope you're starting to see that chasing balance isn't the answer. It's all about being intentional with our priorities, setting boundaries that work for you intentionally, and giving yourself the space to focus on what truly matters and not feel guilty about it. Look, we all get overwhelmed by life at times. It's inevitable. But the key to managing it isn't through perfect balance. It's through giving yourself permission to say no when necessary and focusing on what's most important today, even if that looks a little different tomorrow. Remember, no one's life is perfectly balanced. If it were, we'd all be robots. Life is messy, it's unpredictable and full of surprises, but that's also what makes it so amazing and so exciting to get up and see what each day holds for us. Thanks for checking us out on The Unscripted Mind today. If you found this episode helpful, share it with somebody who might need it. Also, please subscribe, follow us, and leave a review. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please include that also. Until next time, remember, life doesn't come with a script, so embrace the unexpected, cherish the unplanned, always stay curious, and have an amazing day. We'll see you next time on The Unscripted Mind.